Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever standout, has been fortunate to escape serious injuries this season. However, the all-time NCAA scoring leader has seen plenty of heavy contact in her first WNBA season, and that did not change against the Las Vegas Aces on Wednesday night. She once again got hit with a season-ending blow. Luckily for us all, Caitlin is resilient, but the questions arises. Are the refs doing enough to protect the WNBA stars on the court? Clark was in discomfort when Young shot her in the jaw while she was leaping for a rebound. Young did not saw Clark approaching her and accidentally smacked her face when jumping for the board. The officials judged it a common foul. The Aces won 86-75, and superstar A'ja Wilson became the WNBA's all-time single-season scoring leader. The Fever have beaten every club but Las Vegas this season, and they will have another chance to do so at home later today. One thing is sure, the Fever are still not at the Aces level. While the Fever have rebounded this season, spearheaded by Clark, Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and recently Lexi Hull, they have struggled to match the Aces' experience and physicality. Clark demonstrated her mortality on Wednesday, scoring 16 points on 6 of 22 shooting, including 1 of 10 from deep. The officiating, however, was controversial, with supporters accusing the refs of favoring Las Vegas. The biggest play in question was Clark's offensive foul on Las Vegas guard Chelsea Gray, which sabotaged Indiana's comeback attempt, according to Barstool's Dave Portnoy. Clark was enraged and was restrained by her teammates to avoid a technical foul. Meanwhile, Wilson established a record by scoring 27 points and grabbing 12 rebounds. The future Hall of Famer continues to crush the competition, and her experience has better prepared her for a lengthy playoff run this season. Indiana will need to improve its deep shooting percentage to win today's rematch, as it shot 26.9% compared to Las Vegas's 45.5%. It was clear to see that Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever guard, was fatigued Wednesday night. She stated this on the podium after the loss to the Las Vegas Aces. Clark went 6 for 22 from the field, the most shots she's attempted this season. She went 1 for 10 beyond the arc, her lowest percentage in any game thus far. Simply put, the Rookie of the Year had a bad night, and she's hoping to recover quickly so she can shine again tonight. "It's gonna happen, it's basketball," Clark remarked later. "Overall, I didn't feel like I played bad. I felt as a group we really struggled to make shots that we had been making really, since the start of the second half. They're gonna be physical with me. That can kind of wear you down throughout the process of the game. I subbed myself out right there in the first quarter." With little under 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter and the Fever behind by 6 points, Clark squared up with Aces player Chelsea Gray. Clark began driving to the hoop and then cutting back. Gray was not completely convinced, so Clark drove again, this time bumping into Gray in the paint, presumably to elicit the N1 call. Gray collapsed to the floor. The referees called it an aggressive foul. Clark couldn't believe it, loading the ball behind her neck as if she were preparing to throw it far soccer style. She didn't launch it and let the ball land around her waist. Teammate Temi Fagbinley came over to ensure the rookie didn't receive her 6th technical foul of the season. While keeping her distance, Clark lifted her arms and looked to say, "That's so bad." Clark shook her head and smirked when she was called for an offensive foul in the second quarter. "Honestly, they're all really good defenders," Caitlin Clark remarked about Las Vegas. "The offensive fouls are definitely surprising at times. I feel like I do get held and get quite a bit of contact throughout the games. It is what it is. Apparently they see something different. Las Vegas is going to be physical. They're going to do it again. It worked. But that's what I should expect at this point." During the first and third quarters combined, the Fever and Aces each scored 43 points. In the other periods, Las Vegas outscored Indiana 43-32. This is due, in part, to the fact that Fever starters Lexi Hull and Aliyah Boston had to sit out the majority of the second and fourth quarters due to foul problems. The bench did not perform terribly, but unorthodox rotations hindered the offensive. Since the Olympic break, the 8-3 Fever have depended heavily on their starters for offensive productivity. That isn't always a negative thing, but it can be deadly on nights when, say, Caitlin Clark shoots less than 30% from the floor and Boston struggles offensively. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson, the MVP favorite, returned from an injury and scored 27 points with 12 rebounds. The Aces bench also outscored the Fever 30-11. "We're trying to make those adjustments," Fever head coach Christy Sides said. "What's hard is, this is kind of the way we've been playing. These guys, Caitlin, Kelsey, they've been playing those kind of minutes. You can't change up a lot when things have been going a certain way." Caitlin Clark and the Fever rematched the Las Vegas Aces at home today with a chance for redemption. The good news is, The Fever didn't get stomped by the Aces, the fourth best team in the league. It could have been far more depressing in many aspects. While the Aces often maintained a 7 to 9 point advantage, the Fever remained within striking distance. Prior to Wednesday night's game, Sides and Clark stated that the Fever are approaching this series as a mock playoff. Indiana hosts Las Vegas again tonight, hence the series moniker. The first round of the playoffs, which starts in around 11 days, is a best of 3. Friday might be considered as a potential elimination. The Aces and Minnesota Lynx, both of which have MVP players, have made statements by heroically taking victories from the Fever at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The loss on Wednesday was sloppy, negating Indiana's advantage of a sellout crowd at home. There is another intriguing obstacle. How can the Fever treat the Aces' back-to-back playoff appearances in 3 days when all 5 of their starters, including 8-year veteran Kelsey Mitchell, have never made it to the postseason? Knowing that it's the series with the Vegas Aces, it don't get no better than that. Like, from seeing where you are standpoint, Mitchell said, we got a gauge of where we are against the reigning champs. We put ourselves in a position to go back to film, see what we can be better at. As a leader, it's my job to make sure that we have confidence. We gotta have that going into Friday. Indiana gets another shot, and, as Sides noted, Thursday was about resting up after an overtime win just a few days ago Sunday, as well as making adjustments on the court to even the series. But once again, they have to go head-to-head with MVP nominee A'ja Wilson. And instead of Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson was the one making history on Wednesday night by becoming the WNBA's all-time leader in total points in a single season during the Aces' victory over the Indiana Fever. Despite the spotlight on her scoring, Wilson continued to perform well on both ends of the court. During the third quarter, Wilson demonstrated why she is a strong candidate for her third consecutive WNBA Defensive Player of the Year award, knocking away a Caitlin Clark layup attempt on the fast break. Wilson's rejection of the young Fever guard sparked a social media frenzy among Aces and League fans alike. "Consider the MVP convo settled," one fan wrote on X. "A'ja Wilson so majestic in person," another added. Another person was really enthusiastic about the highlight. "Y'all don't deserve the greatness that is A'ja Wilson," they put in writing. Wilson ended her record-breaking night with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 steals, solidifying her case for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. The Aces star dominated a game including some of the WNBA's greatest players, such as Clark, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Aaliyah Boston. Furthermore, the pressure Wilson applied on the offensive end put Boston into foul trouble, and Indiana's star big player fouled out late in the fourth quarter. The Aces put on a defensive performance against one of the league's hottest, most dynamic units. As they battled to create any continuous flow in the half court, the Fever shot less than 40% from the field and were only 7 for 26 from 3. Furthermore, the Aces allowed the Fever to score only 6 points in transition, which has been one of their most valuable assets during their recent hot streak. With Wilson at the helm of their defense, the Aces can shut down almost anyone. So it will be interesting to see how the game plays out tonight. Will it be another hard-fought battle, or will we see the Fever getting more into their own game this time? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.